Welcome to the Thriving Soulpreneur podcast. This is a space where we talk about human design, spirituality, and neuroscience, all applied to business and money. My purpose is to help struggling solopreneurs to run sustainable businesses, to become financially resilient, and to create powerful change within their communities and beyond. I am your host, Andrea Niño de Guzman, a numbers girl and neuro geek who left the corporate world to do what she does best, to catalyze transformations. I am thrilled and honored to have you here, and I really hope to serve you in the best way possible. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of the Thriving Soulpreneur. This is a space where we get to talk about human design, spirituality, neuroscience, and all of that applied to business and money. It's such a pleasure to have you here again on this second episode. And today I want to talk about resistance to selling. So what I mean about resistance to selling, it's not really, I don't want to talk about it from the business perspective of, what happens while you're not selling or the fears that we have around selling. I want to see it more from the money perspective because, we all have a relationship with money. We and there are different aspects or different types of money, and I'm going to talk about that in a future episode. And we're going to go into detail as to what each type of money is. But it's about, how do I create an income? How do I create an inflow of money? And one of the ways, and what's the relationship that I have with that income or with that inflow of money? What do I believe about my abilities to create that income or that money inflow? What do I feel about it? What do I think about it? What are the stories that are tied to that inflow of money? And all of that, when you think about that, when you add them all up, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're believing, the memories that are being triggered in you from the past, when you add them all up, all of that creates or results in a very specific behavior. So for some people, it's very easy to go out and sell things and promote and to talk about things. It's very natural. For others, it feels very uncomfortable. It feels very uncomfortable to talk about what you are selling, what you are here to offer. And in my case, I am more on on that side of the group of where, because for many years, I really, really did struggle with putting myself out there, with promoting my offers, with even charging, with even like sharing my prices. And when you're operating with this mindset or with all these, so much baggage in behind you, it can sometimes be very frustrating because you feel that you're not moving forward. And if you're moving forward, maybe you might feel that you're not moving as fast as other people around you. Something that, when I first jumped into the entrepreneurial world a few years ago, I would observe people around me who were less qualified than I was, less talented, who, they had less experience, they had less of many things, but they were making 10 times more than what I was. Why? Because one, they were taking action. Even if it was imperfect, they were still doing it. And two, because probably they had more confidence in themselves, or they trusted themselves, or they felt more comfortable with their own capacity to make money and to make a business and to grow their business than I did, because I was stuck in this process of not enoughness. And because I didn't feel enough, I didn't feel good enough, I didn't feel worthy enough of selling, or I didn't feel worthy enough of charging a higher price, or I didn't feel worthy enough of having a series of clients or a full offer of if I was offering a coaching group, because I didn't feel enough. I didn't promote myself. I didn't put myself out there. Obviously, I wasn't generating that income. That just triggered even more judgment or a validation as to why I wasn't good enough. And all of that kept me stuck in this loop or this like vicious cycle of not enoughness where I wasn't getting anywhere. And I don't know if any of you have ever felt like you were stuck in a similar loop where your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs kind of inhibit you from taking specific actions, or they keep you, it's easier for you to procrastinate or for you to just ignore or deflect all those intentions that you have. And by the end of the day, maybe you'll see a week pass by, a month pass by, a year pass by, and you haven't really made that much progress. That was my story when I started coaching, and when I started working on creating a side business when I was in corporate. And it was very difficult, and it was incredibly frustrating because I really wanted to move forward, but I just didn't trust myself, and I didn't believe myself enough for me to really do that. And while I was thinking, what's going on? Why am I not making the progress? And this actually resonated with me a few weeks ago, when I was starting to get back into that loop of, am I going to make enough money? Side story, one of my goals is for me this year is to reduce much of my credit card debt and my personal debt. And I've been working very hard to reach that goal. I started the year with $70,000 worth of debt, and as of right now, I've paid almost half of it. But at some point, and I'm going to be completely honest and transparent here, it's not that I have, an amazing confidence and self-trust in myself. I work on it daily. And there were times at the beginning of the year where I really doubted if I was going to be able to make enough money to fulfill all of my obligations, to pay all of my debts within the expected period of time. There was a lot of doubts. And I realized that the more I doubted, the more difficult that it became for me to bring in that money. And the opposite being true, whenever I trusted, it was easy. It just flowed. The clients would come up, the money would just appear. But the process in between was, how do I show up? And I've caught myself many times not showing up for my business because I was stuck in this not enoughness or fear or this judgment that I had with myself. So I was journaling about that the other day because I noticed that it was starting to come up. And here's what followed up, and here's what I came up, and this is what I want to share with you. I just kept on thinking, what's wrong? And I realized that I had been doing it wrong because my focus when I was in this process of fear and of not enoughness and of worry and of stress and of, wondering whether, it's a start of the month. Am I going to make money or not? Am I going to be able to cover all these expenses? And if I don't, what am I going to do? What's my plan B, plan C, plan D? When I was stuck in that way of thinking, my focus was on working to earn money. So what I mean by that is that if I needed to put a post on social media, if I needed to connect with a lead, if I needed to follow up with a client, it was because I needed to do it. Because I had to do it in order for me to pay, or in order for me to earn enough to pay the bills. So I needed clients in order for me to help me pay off my loans. I needed to promote myself in order for me to pay my bills, to pay my obligations. I needed to reach out to people because otherwise, how would I make that money? So you realize as I share this, that all my energy was just focused on lack. All of my energy was focused on, I have to do A to get B. Because if I don't do A, I don't trust that I'm going to get B because I don't believe in myself. I don't trust in myself enough. And therefore, and then that's where the hustle, for me, the hustle mentality or the hustle energy comes into play of, I need to do this. I need. And in reality, it's not that I don't need to do anything. I should want to do something. And that's when I realized that all of my actions were just driven by this big need to avoid a greater financial pain. The financial pain of maybe not having enough money to pay for all my debts of that month. The shame that I would feel of not having enough money and telling a provider or somebody that I owed money to that I would not be able to honor my obligation at that point. The shame of owing others. Maybe even the guilt of having spent too much, of not having organized myself financially in a better way. I would encounter the self-doubt of not being able to earn enough to cover for everything. So that was the energy that I was going into. Like all these fears, the shame, the guilt, the self-doubt, all of that was what was guiding my actions. And of course, like, do you want to do business based on that? Guided by that? No. That does not sound fun. My sacral is definitely not lit up by that. Who would want to do business? Who would want to promote themselves? Who would want to sell with all that huge baggage carried behind you of shame and guilt and self-doubt? So what I had accomplished and what I was accomplishing with all of this is that I just basically sucked the joy out of my business. I was no longer focused on what lit me up. I was no longer focused on what I wanted to do. As a manifesting generator, part of my strategy is to respond, but I also want to be, I listen to my sacral. Does this feel aligned? Do I want to do this? Yes or no? And I wasn't asking myself those questions because it all seemed like I had to do it, because if I didn't do it, then how would I make this money? So it was all about what I had to do. It was not about what I wanted to do or what I got to do. There was no gratitude behind it. There was no focus on possibility. It was just all driven by circumstance and by lack. And I feel that reflecting back, that's the reason why I was avoiding showing up online. It's not that I didn't know how to show up online. I just didn't want to, because it was just so burdensome. It wasn't enjoyable at all. It was the reason why I just avoided following up with people, because again, it was burdensome. It was the reason why I was not promoting myself. It was the reason why I was missing out on so many things. I was missing out on so many opportunities because I saw all these things as activities that I had to do. So then, in this process of reflection, and as I was writing, and as I was connecting to this feeling of heaviness and of, shame and the self-doubt and the guilt and all of that, I started thinking, okay, so what would it feel? What would it feel like if I had all my debts paid? If I owed absolutely no money? If all my balances, credit cards and personal debts, if everything was on zero? How would I feel? And I sat there reflecting on it. And this is something that you could also do if you're stuck in the have-tos. And I connected to that energy of how would I feel? And what I felt was this immediate sense of relief. And probably because I have a lot of stories tied to owing people. And again, that's for another episode. But I did feel this immediate sense of relief, of lightness, of freedom, because I didn't owe it to anybody. I didn't have to do anything anymore. I could just be me, and I could just do whatever I want. And then I continued honing into this feeling of freedom, of just lightness. And I just started to notice where I felt that in my body. And I felt that in my chest. And I felt that the more that I connected to this feeling of freedom, my heart would beat faster, but faster from excitement, from joy. And then I started thinking, okay, so let's look at all the activities that I chose to do, such as posting online, connecting with people, connecting with leads, following up, creating funnels, all these activities that we all do when we're promoting ourselves. And I connected with each one. And I just kept on asking myself, okay, how would I feel about posting every day? How would I feel about sharing about my journey online? How would I feel about connecting with people or following up with leads? How would I feel about hosting discovery calls if I absolutely owed nobody? If all my debts were down to zero, if I had this freedom, if I was free from having debts, how would I feel? And obviously it wasn't heavy anymore. And I connected back to what brought me joy. I connected to the possibility. And I realized that I would really enjoy it, all of it. So then the next part of the exercise was like, okay, so if I could really enjoy this activity, so by observation, I'm concluding that if I didn't have any debts, I would really enjoy selling and following up and prospecting and whatnot. I would really have fun. So why can't I enjoy it now? Why do I have to wait until I don't have any debts? What's keeping me from fully enjoying it right now in the moment? Because in the moment, right now is where I have control. Right now, in the moment is where I can create a different future. I can create a different reality for me. Because essentially the activity is the same. Regardless where I'm at in terms of my finances, whether I'm heavily indebted or not, the activity of selling, of promoting myself is exactly the same. But what changes is the intention behind it and maybe the attitude or the perception that I have of it. That's all that changes, but all of that is in my mind. So why can't I enjoy it now? What do I need to release? What do I need to reframe? What needs to be realigned in me so that I can start enjoying this right now? So how do I connect to what I want to do in my day-to-day? How can I show gratitude for all the things that I get to do? And I just kept on journaling and seeing what came up. And I feel that the biggest thing, and it's going to sound very simple, but sit with these questions. Because for me, what came through of, this deep contemplation and analysis was that it's a choice. The choice is yours. That's that's the feedback that I got from myself, from my highest self. The choice is yours. You decide, because you're right. The activities are basically the same. But how you perceive them and the intention that you put behind them is your choice. So you get to decide daily where you're going to put your intention, where you're going to put your focus, and how you are going to perceive every situation. It's a choice, and it begins with you. So now what I do is I make a daily conscious choice of how I'm going to approach that selling activity. I get to choose what I want to do in my day-to-day, not because I have to, not because I need to generate X amount of money by the end of the month, not because I'm focused on just signing 3 clients so that I can get those 10K. No, it's because I want to. Because my intention is no longer on generating money, but on serving. And serving lights me up. Because I trust and I'm developing. Again, I'm not a guru, I'm not an expert, but I'm daily developing this trust in myself and in the universe, and practicing this act of surrender so that I can trust that whatever I need is going to come. But I need to focus on elevating how I feel about myself, my vibrational frequency, so that I can attract the right thing. And with that, I focus on showing gratitude. Gratitude for everything that I get to do, and also for what I don't get to do. And I'm not going to lie, there are times when I catch myself, spiraling down again of what's going to happen. But again, it's this conscious practice of awareness. And for me, whenever I catch myself, it's allowing me to shift. It's giving myself permission to shift back into my power and remind myself that I have a choice. That it all starts with me. It begins with me. And my choice is that I choose to see this under a different light, from a different perspective. So suddenly sales for me are no longer about making money, earning money. But for me, they're rather about building relationships and of being of service. And I think this mind shift has also impacted in me showing up today and putting out this, second episode of this podcast, and on me starting to post and reaching out to people, because I'm coming and I'm serving from my heart, not from my mind. I'm not serving from lack anymore. I'm not serving based on my fears. I'm serving because I'm connecting to this greater possibility of creating a world full of thriving soulpreneurs. And yes, I know that the sales are going to come eventually, but I also know that that's not the end result. I also know, and I've realized through this exercise, that my end result is not just about making enough money to be able to pay off my bills, to be able to honor my debts. What I'm doing this and why I'm doing this is because of the impact that I'm creating in others. And that is what really, really drives me. That is what really, really lights me up. So today I focus more on the joy and on finding that joy in my day today. Finding the joy in who I get to connect to. Finding the joy on what can become possible. Again, not focusing on what I have to do or how I have to do it, because that's my monkey brain, my conditioned brain, trying to figure it out all on my own. But it's more about allowing myself to be in the moment, allowing myself to be present right now, because in the present moment, that's where we have our highest power. It's allowing me to bring back my energy into the right now. It's allowing me to choose to focus on joy, to choose to focus on possibility, and to choose to focus on what lights me up. And with all of that, suddenly selling is not even selling. It's something fun. It's for me, selling has become a part of my day that becomes an adventure of universe, show me. It's an adventure that I'm co-creating with the universe. Of universe, show me. Universe, show me the right people that I need to talk to today. Show me the right people that I need to connect with. Universe, allow me to receive the messages that I need to share today. Universe, help me connect with the right people that are going to help me or that are going to influence me in this next leg of my journey. And when I keep my awareness on that, I kid you not, the clients are arriving without me reaching out. The right messages are arriving that are allowing me to respond to. And I am doing my business from a place of joy. And I am also healing my relationship with money from a very, very different place. because I know that from the bottom of my heart, I know that I'm not broken. I am not flawed. I am not in need of fixing. Regardless of what happened in my past, of how I managed, spent, wasted my money or not, regardless of what I did in my past in relation to my money, to my income, the opportunities that I took or didn't take, today I am connected to my creative power and I'm creating from a place of joy. And that is reframing how I see how money flows to me, how I create earnings and an income. It's a very, very different perspective. So I know I could just like keep on going and going and going with this, but I wanted to just stop right here, and I would love to have your feedback. Does this resonate? Did this resonate? Send me a DM, reply, send me an email. I would love to hear your stories about selling, about, maybe the resistance that you felt and how you overcame it. And if anything that I shared with you today allowed you to see it differently, or is allowing you to see it differently, if you want to take that time to, reflect through all of this. But yeah, let me know. All right. Okay. Much, much love to all of you. I wish you an amazing week. And I will be back next week with a new episode, new insights, new experiences. And I really look forward to hearing back from you too. Take care, everybody.